All right, cool. I think we got this going. All right. Give me a second, guys, to get this all set up, and then I'll let you guys come and ask some questions, and we'll do that. All right. So, a few people requesting to speak. I've accepted you if you want to come up and talk. Let me share my screen real quick. How's it going, Pete? We'll let a few people get in here. Thanks. Glad you enjoyed the last video. Hope it helps some people. My day's going pretty good. Woke up, ate some salmon, watched the sunrise. About it. All right, not seeing any requests to speak. If you guys do have a request to speak in the Discord, just let me know. But let's see. Did I set out the announcement? Give me a sec. All right, cool. Don't have very many people in here, but that is all right. Thanks to everyone for watching the video so far. And then this is just kind of a Q&A, kind of going over what we talked about in the video or other questions you might have at this time. So feel free to ask any questions. Let's see. All right, I accepted your request to speak. See if it'll throw you in. Morning.
Question. I know you do. You mentioned that as far as the strat goes, you're mainly just looking at broadening formations.
Yeah.
But I had a question because I'm mainly familiar with ICT, but I got kind of intrigued by the strat.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that I was hoping to, I guess, hear a little bit more in depth, which is the decoupling.
Yeah. I can go over that.
Can you do a little rundown on that, and maybe just break down whether or not that's the thing that you actually pay attention to?
Yeah, I think everyone kind of uses it without knowing, but we'll go ahead and go over that. So really what the decoupling is we'll throw this one on there. Hold up. I have it way over here for some reason. So here's our weekly candle, right? So really what happens is, let's go to replay mode. So right here, this is what the decoupling is we'll do this real quick actually. We'll also add like the, so I had this one offset a few. Give me a sec. Just trying to set this up. So right here we have a daily candle. We'll put this on a 4-hour. So right here we have a 4-hour candle, a weekly candle, and the daily candle. And if you notice how they're all the same, right? So we'll actually go to the, here, we're going to do it this way. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of the best way to explain this, and it's probably this way. Okay, so you see right here, we have, okay, here's our first 4-hour candle, right? And this applies to all the lower time frames too, but we'll just use 4-hour daily, weekly, right? And so what the decoupling is it's saying at the open here, when we get this first 4-hour candle, it's going to be the same as the daily and the weekly, right? Because the daily hasn't closed and the weekly doesn't close till later. So your decoupling is once this next 4 hour candle opens, it decouples from the daily. So right now they're the exact same, but then when we go right here, you can see now this 4 hour candle is not the same as the daily and weekly, right? And so that'd be the same if we drop down to the hour, right? So the first hour of this 4 hour candle, we'll go to it real quick, right? Go back to here. That's going to be the same as the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, right? And what the decoupling is we get this next candle. Now the hour decouples, right? So it's separated, it's different from the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, right? And so we'll just go back to the 4 hour for this example. But until we get a new day, then the week and the day are the same candle, right? So if we go up here, you see here we get the new day. Now we have a new candle. It decouples or it's different from the weekly candle, right? So really it's saying, I don't use it a whole lot. I'm just kind of explaining it. If you look into Alex's options, he can go over that a lot. But really it's kind of like for this first hour here, or this first 4 hour candle here, we don't have a lot of data, right? Because everything's the same, right? But once this decouples or we get the new daily candle, now we have a previous day candle. This decouples and then, right, we get, well, now we have our current day candle. But that's just kind of what it is. It's not a great explanation. I don't really use it a whole lot, but the way I use it is I'm not really trying to trade Monday. Why? Because that's the same as the weekly candle at that time. I don't have a whole lot of data on what the weekly candle is going to look like. Once we get Tuesday or it decouples, now we have a previous day's candle as data, and I can use that to base stuff off of, right? So it's not like a great explanation. I guess a better one might be if we go down to like a 5 minute, right? Um, Trying to think here. Like a lot of it is like a lot of people use it during like RTH, right? So here's 9:30 open. So for example, we'll just go to SPY and we'll have this be an hour candle, right? And then we'll just turn this one off. But if we go back to our first 5 minutes, right? You see how our first 5 minutes is the same as the hourly candle. Well, then it decouples, right? So now we have a new 5 minute candle, but we still have 1 hour candle. So now we have three 5 minute candles. This 15 minute candle right here is the same as the hour. Now we get a new 15 minute candle, right? If we were to set this up to 15, right now we have two. I can go back, right? Now we have two of those, but that still is making what? One 30-minute candle, 1 hour candle. As we go right here, this is still one 30-minute candle. Yeah. So like the 30-minute candle is still the same here as the hour. Now we get a new 30-minute candle, right? However, it's still the same hour candle, right? So we don't get a new 30 candle until we get a new hour candle, right? Which we haven't got yet. Now we get a new hour candle, right? So now this hour during RTH, this would be the same as the daily candle in SPY, right? But now after a new hour, now they're all like decoupled, if that makes sense. So as I don't really use it too much, that's more of a strat thing. Yeah, yeah. I was just saying it's not my specialty or like what I'm really deep into, so I'm not going to be able to answer that super deeply. But if you want, you can tag Alex in chat and I'll just text him, or I can just text him and see what he says and then respond to you. Just leave go to the questions section and then leave a question in there and tag me
Mhm.
so I see it, and then I'll get back to you on that.
All right, man.
All right. Hopefully that kind of makes
I'll
sense.
type that
It
out
at
quick.
least
I
explains
appreciate
what
it.
the decoupling is, but
Thank you. Yeah,
all
definitely.
right. All right, see ya. Yeah, I can hear you. Give me one sec. All right, what's up?
I typed it in the voice chat, but I was wondering on the NQ chart on the daily, if your bias would lean bearish since there was a market structure shift with displacement.
So yeah, mainly the reason I was bearish here though is mark out Monday's range. Right? I didn't really have a whole lot of bias right now because what happened, we look at our previous day low. Where do we frame a reversal there? We go outside this previous day low, previous week's low. We can't displace out, so where do we come back into the range, right? So that's where a reversal is framed. And then if you look here, we gap up, right? We reach over previous day's high, and then we also have an SMT here, pretty certain. Right, so you see how
Okay.
ES doesn't take it? And so then that is what's leaning back there. And I haven't been posting a lot of bias, but also the order block on NQ. I just generally don't like to trade early in the week, and I struggle more so with continuations. So, but
Okay.
that's why at least for this day was bearish, right? Monday, consolidation or into the range, right? And would I have known that before Monday? Not really. It's just right here when we can't displace below here and come back into the range. So if we go to something like an hour, right? Mark this out. Right here, can't displace in out of the range. Where do we go? Back into the range. Here is our previous day high. We sweep that on the gap up. Now we're falling back through. And we go see that other side of the range, right? And if you watch like the live stream this weekend, or those of you looking at the strat, that's your broad information, right?
Okay.
So, but my bias is mainly day to day unless I have a nice weekly profile. And then in that case, I look for expansion on like 2 or 3 days, right? But I don't know if that really answers your question.
Yeah, it does. You're looking at the previous day highs and lows to see if it can
Yeah,
displace through it or comes back through the
yeah.
range.
I keep it
And you
pretty
just do
simple.
that day to day.
Yeah, generally. Or I look for reactions, right? So for example, when we respect this PD array, order block, or previous day high, or fair value gap, close back in, where can we expect Monday to reach for? This previous day low. Well, it already reaches our previous day low, but it can't displace out of it. That's when we come back in the range, right?
Would
From
you go to a lower time frame and what would you look for around that
yeah,
previous
so
day low level?
generally if I'm looking for that, um, if I'm just looking for reversals on previous day low, let's see here if I can pull up ES here. So that was right there. So we also have this SMT, right? So I generally like to see an SMT. So we see an SMT here. This also indicates that ES is going to be a little bit stronger, right? As you can see, versus NQ. But generally from there, go down to a 5 minute or something like that. And I look for a setup. So since ES is going to be stronger, can look for a setup there, right? What do we also have from, oh, it's kind of a mess, but looking here, 8 o'clock, dive down, displace up. What do we have in this displacement range? Well, we can just drag a
That's
fib.
your
Let's see. Can drag a fib up all the way to this high, right? Hits our OTE. What do we also have? Order block, right? So it doesn't really matter how you frame it, but I generally look for an SMT and then a lower time frame confirmation entry, and generally for that to be in my kill zone, right? I don't generally take a lot of trades like this anymore. I used to, but my model is a little bit more defined now.
all right. Are you able to share that? Like your model?
I mean, if you study my daily bias video, it's basically that. The only thing is, it's like that's MMXM's model, and it's like he teaches it in his course. So I'm not trying to just like basically
Oh, I
share
see.
his course. Yeah, it's just like out of respect, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
I dig it.
But but yeah, if you like study my last 2 videos and look at mainly the daily bias video, look at those examples. That's essentially what I do.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
okay,
That
yeah, cool.
answers it.
Yeah, but mainly when I'm looking for a reversal off a low, I want to see some sort of lower time frame confirmation entry. So like SMT at its confluence, but mainly if you just look for displacement, right? And then we respect this. I didn't like this because I'm not expecting a whole lot of movement today. So if you notice, like we already,
Yeah, that was on Monday.
yeah, and I don't like that we already took this high prior to, right? Generally, if I'm looking for an entry like this, right, into the open to target London highs here, I don't want to see London highs taken prior. Obviously, it would have worked out, but generally what I want to see is like, let's throw this on replay. Generally, I'd like to see price do something like this, right? Leave this London high or then my entry. So that's
All right.
something I don't generally like to see a sweep of what my target would be prior to my entry, right? So
Yeah.
there's a few things why I wouldn't personally take that trade, but that's just an example. But yeah, do you have any other questions on that?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Sweet. All right. Got another request. Let's see. What's up? Should be able to speak now. You are muted. There you are.
Hello, mate. I just want to say thank you. Just a couple minutes ago, I closed my position. After a very long time, I get the 370 pips.
Awesome.
Uh,
What'd you trade?
yeah, thank you. And GBP USD.
GU short, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And my question,
Mm-hmm.
I'm studying more than maybe 1 year, but I didn't understand the weekly bias and daily bias till your videos. Now I'm
Oh,
a
that's
bit
awesome.
confused. Just I'm trading GBP and USD. I studied daily bias video last week, and all my trade is changed. Now I'm trying to sort it out to look in the weekly profile.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Yeah, if you combine it with
is,
the weekly profile, it can really increase some
is there any
probabilities.
chance? And today Tuesday, nearly we
Mm-hmm.
will close the day. I was I was trading London session because I living in London,
Yeah.
and now I'm mostly focusing on the New York session. My question, today Tuesday,
Yeah.
we will close the day, but still I didn't understand the what will be Wednesday, Thursday, because there is a 6 weekly profile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very new. Do you have any tip and how we can Tuesday, how we can understand the
Have you
uh,
have you watched AM Trade's new video on weekly profile yet?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Mainly my bias for GU here. If you saw I posted it in the Discord, I was looking for a move higher, right? So obviously was wrong today. Like if we go look at my EU, I might have deleted it, but I was looking for a move down to here, which we got, and then I was looking for expansion higher here, mainly due to these failure swings, right? And then we have a untapped, or at least I say untapped order block here. We didn't get that, right? And then DXY, right, moving higher. So we'll see how today closes. It kind of just depends on DXY for me. But the main thing I'm looking for is if we fail this low, right, can look towards this previous day high, and we have all these previous day highs stacked like that, right? But as for your question on just stuff to look at the weekly profile, I would check out AM Trade's PDF. He has a PDF as well that he put out with the video. Other than that, the main thing I generally search for is he did a lot better job explaining it than I probably would have. But generally, what I look for is not so much the profile, but I just look for when I anticipate a low being the low of the week. And then what that does is, let's say if I anticipate this low being the low of the week, that can give me bias up for Wednesday, Thursday, right? So I focus a little bit less on, the actual profile and more so if I anticipate this being the low of the week, then I can expect continuation or expansion the days after, right? So if we go find an example of that, like here, right? We'll just go on replay mode. Let me get a weekly candle up so you can kind of see it. Oh, wow. Forgetting. Week offset. All right. So here's our weekly candle, right? And we don't do anything really Monday, right? Not a whole lot of bias for me. So all I'm focused on are the previous day high and low, and I'll let Tuesday play out. Well, what does Tuesday do? It opens, it sweeps this high, and then starts to go lower, closing below. So even with my bias video, we can anticipate a reach lower, right? Well, this is made on a Tuesday. If I'm anticipating, if DXY lines up and everything, if I'm anticipating this being the high of the week, what does that mean? Tuesday high of the week, I can expect Wednesday to expand lower, Thursday to expand lower. Then Friday, cap the weekly range. So if we are going to expand lower, we have some fair value gaps in here, but where do we go? Reach there. Here on Wednesday, we already make a pretty large weekly profile. At this point, that's when I kind of end it, right? Because I don't want to play too overextended. I don't remember what happens, right? Maybe we reach lower. We do. Close back in. Now, could expect a TGIF back up, right? Or just sweep the low. Come back in the range, right? So that's kind of how I use weekly profiles, is I don't focus so much on the actual profile. I just focus on, okay, if we make a high during this day of the week and we give some sort of directional bias, do I have a draw on liquidity or a weekly target to expand for? And with that, can I expect expansion during which days, right? So here, right, I sit out Monday, Tuesday, because I don't know what's going on. There's lots of days I don't know what's going on. But this next day here, I can still be bearish. And although I could target right here, using the weekly profile allows me to expand that. So I'd expect London, New York down, right? Depending on the structure. Here, less certain, less certain. So even if I'm just certain for one day of bias throughout this week, right? That's good enough for me. So I don't try to catch everything, right? I don't know if that kind of helps with weekly bias or weekly profile, but
Yeah, that's mind-blowing for me because I didn't sort it out till your videos. And thanks so much. It will take time. Now I can see just a 1 week after 1 week, and my
yeah,
trades are more successful, but it will take a bit time for
yeah.
myself. Thanks so much,
And
and you're doing very well, and we are following you very closely. Just I want to say thank you.
yeah, yeah, of course. And like, don't be afraid. It's like there's days where I don't know what's going on. There's days you won't know what's going on. You'll find after watching it for a while, there'll be days where it's just super obvious what's going to happen. So like, probably the cleanest day I ever remembered was like this, right? I put this in an example in my video, but like right there. After watching all my videos now, I mean, you guys already have seen it, but you can probably anticipate what do we expect this next day, right? A reach lower. Well, now we add a weekly profile. Monday, Tuesday, kind of consolidation. We sweep external, so midweek reversal, right? So something like that, right, would be the profile looks like. So the next day, Thursday, expecting expansion down. Can expect that towards Friday too. I don't remember what happens, but right, because that's midweek reversal. So even if I just get one day, then I can use the weekly profile to kind of expand to expect that expansion and to continue lower. But yeah, I haven't made any videos on weekly profile, but I think if you watch AM's videos and then you kind of combine what I talked about in the daily bias videos, you should be pretty decent. But I'm glad that I've helped you trading. Makes me happy to hear that. So, but if you don't have any other questions, I'm gonna let someone else speak. Sorry if I ramble a little too. It's just kind of how I talk. But all right. Shock waves. If you want to, should be able to speak now. If you want to unmute yourself. I'm going to check the comments real quick. All right. I
Can you
missed
hear me?
quite a few. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, thank you. Just want to appreciate the daily video because it did help a lot clearing it out on what to look next.
Yeah.
Because there are always an uncertainty because there are quite a few videos I watched, but this was probably the more clearer version of how to look for what you can expect next. So that part, thank you for clearing it out. And I do want to appreciate that.
Yeah,
Uh,
of course.
my, my question to you is, so let's say if your previous day high or previous day, based on the previous day candle, you mark out, you expect where you anticipate where you think it will go.
hmm
If that hits in a London session itself, what do
Yeah.
you do in the New York session?
So that's kind of, let's find an example because it's, I think NQ will actually just work for that today, right? So if we look at NQ, right? If we're expecting it to reach for this previous day low, right? We go down to the hour chart here, or London didn't really reach for it yet. That's not a that's a bad example. That's just hit prior to my session. But let me try to find an example because it's going to be hard to explain without an example. So we'll see what GBP euro. I mean, so you just mean like what to do for New York? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. That's the question. Like,
All
okay,
right.
your target or your daily target, you anticipated that, let's say,
Yeah.
you think it will hit previous day high. Okay, it
So
hit
let's,
that mark in London. So what,
yeah.
or at least it hit that mark before 9 a.m. or before you set
Yeah,
in the
so for
chart.
example here, let's just say that for euro, I was looking for this low, right? And you're saying it hit here prior to New York, so it's 6 a.m. here. What's
Yeah.
going to happen, right? And that kind of depends, right? One, this could be an easy bias. If you miss it, there's nothing wrong with just sitting out. I do that a lot, right? I'm too late to it because then I don't want to induce FOMO and some other things. Another thing that's going to happen is you're either going to get this, right? Generally, I mean, a lot of times you'll consolidate, which is no fun, but you're either going to get a retracement continuation or reversal, right? And that kind of depends on your higher time frame bias, right? So if my higher time frame bias is still down here, I expect continuation lower into New York, right? And that's kind of the example I was going to with NQ here is we hit this prior to New York, like, well, let's just say RTH open, right? But we still get a continuation lower. That's just because the higher time frames are leaning down, right? So
Right.
people can still trade this even though it already hit here, right? But that's kind of up to personal backtesting and study. You have to figure out what works for you and if after hitting your drawn liquidity, do you have another drawn liquidity? Because like even in the Discord today, someone was like, well, this was my target for shorts. And they're like, I'm going to short it again. And I was like, okay, where's your target? Right? I'm not going to say anything because like I can't say anything about that. But you have to have some sort of other target or reach lower for that. So for example, but you can use London deviations to project lower, right? Have some sort of target to hit. But that's kind of tough. A lot of times if it's like, if it hits my drawn liquidity prior to, then I just don't watch, right? Those are rules you have to come up with for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what for intraday bias, usually what do you use the 5-minute time frame for your entries, or do you use like 15 minutes for your entries? Usually, what do you recommend?
If I'm doing intraday stuff, it's usually a 1 minute. But if I'm
1 minute.
trading my model, it's like 5 minute,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And if you watch my video all the way through, right? I'm gonna make a Twitter post about this, but you know, my video cut off right here, right? Right, this is where I stopped making my video last night or when I recorded it. And we closed like that. What can we expect? I reached down to here, 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 right? And then I was still looking at this high because if we react out of this fair value gap, you can see higher, right? That was my kind of
Right.
bias with GBP. But what happens is we reach there, there's enough to frame a trade in there. this would be on the 1 minute chart during Asia for me. I'll post it later. But when this reacts here, I'm thinking, okay, we can see back up to this high, right? But it never does. It reaches down here. This is kind of showing me it's starting to fail, right? And then we reach into London. London makes high, or makes a high, then goes lower, right? So intraday bias though, like if I'm going from this 4-hour chart down, I'm going to execute on the 1 minute chart.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah. See ya. What's up? All right. Let me see if there's any questions on YouTube. Let's see. How does a trader determine the reversals as well as session highs and lows? I have quite a few videos on that. If you watch my liquidity video, my displacement, lack of displacement video, kind of all my videos are on that. So I would say watch those. GU, what opportunities you saw for this week? I mean, I didn't really watch a whole lot of Monday because I didn't expect a whole lot. But here's how I would see it, right? If we're just going to replay the days, right? Not using any days or like any news, economic calendar, anything. What happens here? Close back in the range. What can we see? Previous day high. Okay, we close out. I'd want to look reach for previous day high. So with this bias, I could go into the New York session, right? Reaching for previous day high. So let's see. Is that right? Right. So here's our midnight. Let's see if London makes a low. Okay. London low. If I'm going to continue higher, ideally don't see this get violated. I haven't looked at this price action, so we'll see how it goes. There is a fair value gap in there. Okay. Want to see this respect price, right? So if I was a London trader, possibly look for something like this. Reach for these failure swings. Nice. There's a trade, right? That'd be a London. And then New York, this is too far into a premium of this range for me to really be interested. But that's how I would frame a trade on GU. And then I'll post soonly how I used intraday bias for that. But that's how I would frame something on GU. So let's see, any other questions? All right, what's up, Snow? All right, let's see if I missed any. All right. Yeah, of course, Christian. That's kind of how I would frame a trade, personally. I mean, I'll just go back and it's on a recording so people can look at it, but all right. We'll probably do this for another 15 or 20 minutes, or if people don't have any more questions. And we will probably end it there, but yeah, let me hop off. I personally don't really like to go much lower than the 4-hour for intraday bias, just because then I get into the seconds times frames. But we'll see what happens here. We can see that Euro is getting weaker now. If you saw in my Discord, or bias said like Wednesday or Thursday last week, I think I was here, that Euro is going to start to get weaker again. And that's just because we're reaching back up into a premium of this range, right? If we mark this out. right? Back up into a premium of this range. All these wicks reacting, telling me we're failing this side of the range. We're likely to fall back in, right? So if EG is going down, expect Euro to get weaker. Now we go look at Euro, right? See where it is relative to previous day low, right? It's still below previous day low. GBP above previous day. So that's why that's just relative strength though. Could you explain a little more ability reversal? I'm not sure what you mean by the question ability reversal. Delete that for now. Hit tone, leave a question in the Discord question section and tag me, and I'll get it figured out for you. All right, I invited someone to speak. Oh, you're back. What's up?
All right, one last one.
Yeah, what's up?
On core content month 9, ICT had an episode called, I think it was filling the numbers, and he talked about what people call like floor trader pivots, and that it's something that I don't really. It's like one of the lesser heard about, or at least when it comes to ICT concepts, I don't really hear too many people like talk about it or make videos about it. I was just wondering, are pivot points something that you implement into your trading system at all, or
You just mean like essentially like full numbered, so like 102, 800 kind of, or like 103, stuff like those?
So there's a few different ways I've heard it explained, but ICT explained it in the way that it's pretty much like I read about it in a book, and then I use that website like ICT.io or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the AI bot that just So I just wanted to see what ICT had said about it. Looked up that episode from Core, and then it was I guess it's like it was a common thing amongst floor traders. I don't know if it still is. I imagine it is maybe, but apparently it's some kind of calculation. Like you plug in the previous day's close, high and low, and then like you do some kind of the book I read. Apparently the guy puts in like an Excel. It spits out some numbers, and that gives you your pivot numbers, and then you put that on
Okay.
your chart. And there's indicators that do that for you now, apparently. But it's just something that it was new to me, and I was just it seemed kind of like not exotic. Apparently, it's it was a
So,
common thing amongst floor traders, but I just it was new to me, so I just wanted to hear your take on it.
yeah, I personally don't use it. I mean, obviously if I see like a whole number, so like if we're on NASDAQ, right? And we're sitting right around 15,300, right? And like let's say I have a target, you know, 9.7 or so. A lot of times I move my target above that 1,300 just because those whole numbers get reactions sometimes. I personally don't use that. It's not in my model, but I'm not saying that it doesn't work or anything like that. Like I'd say go test it, see how it works for you. So, but yeah, I don't
Sure,
really
man.
have an
We'll do.
opinion on that. So,
All good, brother. All right,
all
thanks
right.
again for your time, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
see
it.
ya. All right. Favorite reversal pattern? I have that posted in the Discord. So, but let's see. I have no idea on that question. I cannot answer that because that's not something I use. Yeah, of course. All right. We'll give it a. All right, let's see. Got another speaker. Or at least a talent show. Uh, I don't remember your name, but or it doesn't show me because I'm streaming, but you are invited to speak. You can sing. I might have you muted on YouTube so you don't say something absurd, get me in trouble. how do you use previous day high and previous day low to form a trade? I'm not going to answer that on here because I spent like 5 hours making a YouTube video over that. So if you want to go to my YouTube channel and watch my daily bias video, that's like 18 minutes. We'll talk about just that. How many trades per week? 0 to 3? 0 to 4? Somewhere in there. Alright, talent show, you're gonna sing. Have you muted on YouTube, so we'll see. Wait, where are you located? UK? Yeah, that sounded like it. Alright, hold up. I'm going to answer this question. Today I was bullish on EU, expected previous day high being violated at least once. It left untouched. Can you please take a look? Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I was bullish on EU, or I was, right? Because I had this marked out. We'll go into replay. Right, I had this marked out, which is just the box setup, right? This is a range, deviation from the range, retest of that. Right? So if you look, this actually provided opportunities into yesterday. Right? I think it would be better on a 15. Right? Sweep of the low, move higher, right? But let's go take a look on the hourly, see what's happening, or 4 hour. Let's do that because I don't like replay mode. But what we see here is we have a fair value gap, right? But we can't really displace over any highs, right? You see all this right here? We don't even have to know at this time what it's reacting off of, right? We just see these candles close. What do we look to the left? We have a closed candle, right? Resisting price. Price can't close or go over that inside bar, so this is consolidation. Now we close below, right? Likely to reach lower. Likely to reach lower. Here, this is where I'd want to see this or reach higher. Well, it reaches higher than lower. Indecision, then it sweeps lower, right? So daily, intraday bias wise, that's how I look at it. Daily bias wise, after this candle closes here, right? This is why I'm not really looking or haven't been. I said that in my bias channel. We have a large range day Friday, no news Monday. It's just consolidating. Here, I don't have a whole lot of bias in what's happening, right? So to me, it's just kind of like flipping a coin, which is not what I do. You should rickroll 54 people. That's crazy. But yeah, that's how I would frame it. And then I haven't looked at the daily profile of it, but we'll just look at it real quick. Let's use this. So, I mean, if you look here, right? What does London do? London makes a high over Asia, right? So that's the sweep. Then we go lower, retracement into a fair value gap, continuation lower. New York consolidation, why? Well, look at the range of London session, right? We have a massive London session, right? I mean, I consider London, like this is where I use it for my marks, but I consider the move up to New York session, London session. So we have a large range. Well, what did we just talk about with Friday's range into Monday? It applies the same on a lower time frame. So if we go to something like, I don't even know, 4 hour, right? Large range here from London, not expecting a whole lot into consolidation. But what I could do is, let's say I was targeting that low. We open, we already tap, we already tapped that. So here's previous 4 hour low. I'm expecting that to get taken. The only way I'd be able to frame a trade is right here, intermediate term high. So then I can look for an entry, close below this order block, into there to that low. But that's not something I generally even look for. So not going to really mark it out. But yeah, hopefully that kind of helps. Mark that off. Do I look at USD while trading the indices? Generally for the indices, not a whole lot. For Forex, yeah. But it can give insight, right? So If dollar is moving higher, well, we generally anticipate the indices to move lower, right? So moves higher, indices start to move lower. Obviously, the relative weakness is in NQ, which my video next week will show you how to anticipate that prior to the day's candles forming. But that is a video for next week. Ad break soon? No. No ads on Discord, man. I was long NZD CAD. I'm trading the exotics. Alright, let's see. Oh, this is a daily? Yeah, I'm not. There's like no way I'm really touching this, right? Look at this. Ready? We're in a range. The only way I would look to trade this is right here, right? This back into the range, into this fair value gap. So I'd have 1 day of bias here in this whole range on this Friday. Friday into the range. Now we're back into equilibrium of this range. Right? See how we tag equilibrium? Inside bar, guess we could reach into this fair value gap lower. But like it's just consolidation. Right? I never look at New Zealand. So New Zealand futures weak, right? Actually, I did look at this the other day, right? So weak futures on New Zealand. And then we look at 6C, right? And we're also weak. So you can see we have marked this up. So when you're pairing a weak currency with a weak currency, you're going to get consolidation. So hopefully that makes sense. So like if I was to pair something with a strong currency, so let's say we were looking at NZD or, USD CAD, right? Because dollar is strong, Canadian dollar is weak. So if we look at USD CAD, something like that, right, we're going to get a trend, right? Right there. We can expect previous day high taken, right? And then this is where, bias comes in. We're expecting trend up. I'm not really looking for this to go down. This is just consolidation after taking previous highs. And then, we rip higher. But maybe I'll make a video about pairing currencies together. Because really your problem there isn't bias, it's you're choosing a consolidating currency, right? So, all right, let's see if I got more questions. Can I show the PO3? Yeah, if you use the higher, thanks KM. He threw it in there. What is it? Is it plus button? I don't know how to click on indicators, but yeah. Are you singing? Bro, he sounded like I was in the UK at a concert, bro. Is it normal to have difficulty trading trend compared to reversal trades? Yeah. So like I definitely when at least personally, right? When we get overextended like this, or at least for me, overextended, I struggle to trade in this area, right? Because for me, that's just entering kind of at highs. And for that, I generally focus on the daily profile, and that can help. But I definitely prefer to trade in these areas. So like those of you watching after watching my videos, hopefully it helps with bias. When this day closes, what can we expect? This day open, low, high, close. So I can have bias this day, right? This is a Tuesday, right? And Monday already took this external range. I can expect continuation into the rest of the week, right? But Wednesday takes this external high. From here, that's my weekly objective. Don't expect a whole lot into Friday, right? But this next week, this is where I struggle, right? When we just go like that. So like I'd say it's definitely normal. Everyone struggles with different things. So that's T-Trade's halftime show goes hard. Yeah. You know, Snow, we have to record one and I'll put it on the sound bar. So like whenever no one's talking. I should put a Subway Surfers game at the bottom. So people for audience retention, that's crazy. Oh, man, I don't know about that. I can't spit bars like you, bro. Alright. Is this an order? Let's see. I can't really tell the look at that candle. Do you have a wallpaper related to trading? Not really. I mean, no. It's usually like nature or something like that. Mark, that is completely dependent on one person. I personally like to have a few things because I look at the daily chart, right? I know on this previous day's close generally if I'm going to be looking at charts next day. So I just sort through multiple different things and then I can determine if I'm looking at something the next day. If I only had one chart, I would do the same thing, but that's just how I trade. He doesn't spit bars, he studies them. That's hilarious. But are you reading comments on YouTube or Discord? I'm doing both, but the Discord is pretty fun. I didn't have it playing on YouTube because I didn't know what he was gonna say, but he was rapping in the Discord, so it's pretty sick. I like Ninja Trader. I'll help you out, bro. But yeah, that's we're coming up on our hour. If you guys haven't already, I'm gonna drop my new video in YouTube and there. If you haven't already checked this out, drop it in there and in the chat. Check out my new video. Pretty good. It depends. It kind of depends on a person's mindset and what works for them. If they prefer the daily or 4 hour or lower time frames or higher time frames, right? You can do the same thing on a weekly chart. I mentioned it in my video, right? Obviously, let's get something that's not just like straight up the like DXY, right? Do I delete all my drawings? We'll get rid of that. But like right here, right? Let's just see. We'll cherry pick some. Fails over this previous high into a premium of the range, hitting an up close candle. Next week, down, down. Right here, fail this previous week's low. We close in. What can we expect? Previous week's high. Fail previous week's high. Would want to see previous week's low. Close outside. Previous week's low down, right? And then we get this massive dumper, right? Close outside. See previous week's high. Here, we're just kind of inside, right? But are we closer to reaching for this high or this low? Get rid of all these drawings. What weekly profile am I thinking today? I mean, I only have 2 days of data. And I don't really have a whole lot of bias because we're just kind of stuck inside. So if we go to Forex Factory, right? Look where our news is, right? Thursday, Friday. So generally coming into a week like this, I'm expecting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to not do a whole lot. Thursday to take an external side of that range, or just drop. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't really care too much about this week because I prefer personally to have news on like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because then Monday consolidation, my Tuesday manipulation, or, you know, I look at the daily candle, but then I can expect some expansion into Wednesday, Thursday. So, not a huge fan of the news for this week. COD tournament. Get me my PlayStation 3 back and I'll run you guys. Let's see. See you later, Pablo. Do you wait for a weekly profile to align in the daily bias? So generally, if you have the right daily bias and, you know, the right day of the week with news, like you're gonna, that's what makes the profile, right? Your daily candles are what makes the profile. So if you get your daily bias right, you're generally into your weekly bias. Really where I find the weekly bias to be super helpful is when to expect expansion or continuation beyond a certain area. Nah, PS3 is insane. Xbox, nah. We are trading in Friday's range, but Tuesday candle. Yeah, I kind of already said with Euro, right? I'm not super interested in a lot of this. Right, let's just real quick. This is what I do in my head, but let's do that. Okay, let's turn off the wicks here and see what we see. What is price doing right now? Here's a consolidation, expansion, expansion, expansion. What are we doing right now? I'd say this is more consolidation, right? That's why I'm not super interested, although I wanted to move higher to go lower, right? Because overall, I'd like to see a continuation of this trend down into these lows. But I'm going to turn my wicks back on, right? DSR, Ballista. I'll only use DSR. You only operate certain time session? Yeah. DSR was crazy, dude. Nothing like the MSR, though, in Modern Warfare 3. Or no, Modern Warfare 2. No, that was 3. I do not trade in the New York sessions this week. Nice. Do you think Tuesday high of the week? I'm not really going to say anything right now. I'm kind of, I don't, a lot of my bias, so if you look at my last videos, what does all my bias kind of depend on? Candle closures, right? So when people ask me my bias on the middle of the day, I'm waiting for the end of the day to determine my bias. So, but with that, I think we're just about out of time here. I'm not trying to spend all day on a live stream. I'm gonna go outside, read a book. One second. Yo, can you hear me now? That was crappy. What was the last thing you guys heard talking about? All right, I'll just repeat. If I'm using intraday timeframes, right, or intraday bias for scalping, I'm not so much worried about the weekly profile, right? Because let's just say I'm looking here in the 4-hour chart. This is the example I went over at the end of the video, right? I have a 0.17 or 21 pip range, right? I'm not really focused on the weekly candle for this scalp, if that makes sense. All right. My roommate is blending something. It's so loud. But I think with that, we're gonna go ahead and probably call the live stream. Seems like most of the people on YouTube kind of dipped out, and then, but we'll plan on doing if everyone, when I post a video and people watch it, because it just shows me how it like does in the first hour. If it does well, I'll keep doing these live streams. Um, so, uh, but I think I'm gonna call that. If you guys have a question on YouTube that I missed, I do have them up on my screens, but I do miss some of them. Just come into the Discord and ask them. It's a lot easier for me that way. You know when a gap is supposed to be a breakaway gap and not fill in compared to having a gap filled? Yeah, that's if you have a balanced price range above or below it before it delivers price. But how do you know your weekly bias lower? I mean, that's if you watch my daily bias video and then pair it with AM's weekly profile video, should be able to figure that one out. So, yeah, this is going to be recorded on YouTube. So, all right, with that, I am going to end the stream here because I'm going to go outside. We'll take a quick look at what indices are doing. So, all right, calling that here. See you guys. Thanks for everyone coming in. If you haven't already, go check out the intraday bias video. And then I will post a little thread on Twitter and I'll link it in the Discord as well on another example using that intraday bias. So, and that one will drop from, intraday bias to an entry time frame. So, thanks for stopping by. See you guys all later and have a great rest of your day.